Our next set of videos that we're going to be looking at in terms of how we make connections with people is working with how we overcome common fears in making connections. Making connections can be difficult, and a lot of different objections or fears or concerns can enter into any kind of relationship. A business relationship like real estate can have a lot of unique uh, concerns and fears that both agents and their connections need to be able to overcome. Over the next few videos, we're going to be looking at some very common types of fears that have to be overcome by agents and by their connections. This is based on the work Exactly What to Say by Phil Jones, with some unique aspects that we're going to be looking at unique to, well, just like I said, working with agents' fears and connections fears. We're going to be looking at fears of alternatives, fears of asking for referrals, fears related to following up, making when connections ask us about our level of experience, setting expectations with our connections, fears of confrontation. Let's be honest, that's probably one we'll spend a lot of time with because nobody likes to have confrontation. Overcoming the fears of motivation by our connections, looking at connections that have difficulty or fears about making decisions. Negotiation fears, those are fears that we have to reach or deal with as agents, working with other connections as our clients, as well as other agents. Looking at the fear of commitment. No, we're not talking about if you put a ring on it, but making and committing to decisions and moving forward. The fear of being realistic about potential consequences. Overcoming the fear of the unknown. This is perhaps one of the greatest fears that occurs in any kind of relationship. In the modern world, there's always the fear of missing out, or what is commonly known as FOMO. And we're going to look at how we can use that and how we can overcome that with our connections in real estate. The fear of negativity, and this has to do with when we get bad news or what's perceived as bad news, and overcoming what could be conceived as a negative situation. Those who struggle with the fear of moving forward and moving to the next stage of the home buying process or the home selling process. We're then going to look at overcoming some common fears. One of those being the fear of the word no. Perhaps nothing is more fearful to anybody, starting with your toddler who learns the word no more than anything else. But we need to work through those fears. The fears of following through, not only by agents, but also by their connections, making sure all parties in the connection are following through. The fear of following up with contacts. And finally, we'll finish up with the fear of asking for additional information. Now, all those videos are going to be unique. This is just a brief introduction to what those fears are. Understand that we're going to be looking at some frameworks on how to overcome those. Some common phrases to use when speaking with or communicating with our connections of all types to help them overcome and make it easier for you as agents to overcome those same fears. And how do we approach someone who has this particular fear? So come along as we now study some common fears that occur throughout the relationship between ourselves and all of our connections, personal and professional, and how to overcome those.